Welcome. This is Jane Gardner, and welcome to Solopreneur Success Strategies. And today it's Mindset Monday, and it's all about mindset. And we have been talking about your inner critic, so we're going to continue on with that and how to get rid of it. So today is Mindset Monday on Solopreneur Success Strategies, and it's a good day to start on Monday because we need to for the rest of the week when we're a solopreneur. And we've been talking about how to remove your inner critic in order to get a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset in your life for you to have success as an entrepreneur. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jane Gardner. I work with my husband in my structural engineering firm for the last 20 years in our home, and we are getting near retirement, so I have come out onto the internet to help others maybe start their own home business by learning about some of the strategies you need to have as a solopreneur. So let's go and have a look at your inner critic and how to get rid of it. So once you can recognize your inner critic, you can learn to control it. The way that you interpret challenges, obstacles, or criticisms that you face is up to you. But this is the most challenging step for most people. It's difficult to reframe the voice which has become your inner critic when you have well-grooved patterns in your lifestyle which are difficult sometimes to change, especially when you have an inner critic that is quite loud. So the way to think about reframing so that you don't have your inner critic always stopping you from doing things is to imagine that you're giving advice to a friend. And we spoke about this last week. So naturally, you would never use a harsh, critical voice when trying to help a friend. In fact, if you would ever do this, you wouldn't have that friend again. But of course, you would never do this with a friend. So why do you do it to yourself? Why are you so harsh and critical on yourself? So we're generally harsher on ourselves than we are with others. So instead of talking to yourself, imagine that you're giving advice to a good friend. And now imagine that you're giving them advice and reframe the negative statement that was made that you heard by your inner critic, reframing it so that it is in a more positive attitude. And then after reframing comes the action of doing the action that your inner critic has stopped you from doing. So what challenges can you take on now to foster and nurture a growth mindset? Once you have reframed the challenge so that it is not as negative, for example, last week you used the one where your inner critic was saying, well, she is so successful because she has an MBA and there's no way that I could actually be as successful as she is. Well, you have to stop yourself and reframe that inner thought and say, she is so successful, she has an MBA. Why don't I go and ask her for some advice? Because she would have something maybe that I could benefit from. So you have to make your inner critic into more positive statements. That certainly going and contacting someone else, that's a positive thing and would certainly grow you and add some benefits to your life to be able to contact that person rather than being negative about that person. So what challenges can you take on in order to foster and nurture a growth mindset? What challenges have you been avoiding? Have you been avoiding public speaking? Have you been avoiding asking someone that is in a relationship with you whether or not they're willing to raise the costs down so that you would be able to have a more successful relationship? Have you been willing to speak to someone who you know will be able to benefit from your business, but you haven't had the nerve to be able to ask them because your inner critics keep saying no, they won't want it? Well, choose a challenge and try it again, but this time turn your fixed mindset around. Find a work-related or personal task that you've either been shying away from doing or that you feel you failed at. And then, for example, perhaps you always put work first and your eating habits are not the best. How can you challenge yourself to create better eating habits? Maybe there is a skill you've been wanting to learn, such as cooking, but the idea of trying again gives you a sense of anxiety. Certainly, public speaking is one of the greatest fears for most people. So maybe challenging yourself to go and do some public speaking or go to Toastmasters to learn to be more comfortable with public speaking would be a challenge that I think a majority of people would need to have in their business in order to grow it. And for example, even just getting in front of the camera like I have would be a challenge and cause you anxiety. Well, why don't you just try it? Turn your webcam on and go to YouTube and record a private video that no one sees but yourself to see whether or not you can do it. There might be an important client you've been meaning to contact, but you've been shying away from contacting that person. So start with one challenge, and then you can apply it to the next challenge once you have success with the first. So because you're progressing, so what you have to do when you have an inner critic first is to reframe what the inner critic said into a more positive statement. So there's a positive statement, and it will be certainly cause you growth rather than staying in a fixed mindset. And then the second thing you need to do is to put it into action. So, for example, as I mentioned, if you were to change your eating habits by saying, okay, I'm going to start eating properly, and this is how I'm going to do it, that would be a challenge that you could apply. And then the next time you have a challenge, you can have success with that one as well because you've had success with the first one. So you can make the challenges fairly simple to begin with. And when you have success, you can celebrate and then go on to the harder challenges because your inner critic can stop you from doing things when they are having negative thoughts subconsciously or consciously that are stopping you from growing in your business. So try a new challenge every week and you will develop your growth mindset and you will be able to grow and move forward in your business. And hopefully your inner critic will disappear or will be less frequent. And so you'll have more success because you will be always challenging yourself and trying new things rather than stopping yourself from doing new things because of your inner critic. So let's hope that your inner critic will disappear. And next time we'll be talking about more things that you can do, develop your growth mindset, and be the successful entrepreneur that you can be by retraining your brain into success mindset. You can also learn how some of the techniques at http://jgtips.com/s-mindset, which is an ebook on developing your success mindset, and it has trainings in there to train your brain in order to have success. And that will help you become a better entrepreneur. So next week we'll be looking at more on how to become an entrepreneur. For those of you who have never been an entrepreneur, it is good to know some of this mindset in order to develop it so you can be more successful. Thank you.